Dear students, welcome to the second lecture of laws of motion. In today's lecture, we'll discuss momentum and Newton's second law. So let's start with momentum. We all know that what momentum is. We have studied this before. So I'll just go through the definition. It's called the quantity of motion in a body. It's a vector quantity and it is mass into velocity. But the real question is, what is the significance of momentum? Whenever we hear this term called force, we're very much aware of what we are dealing with. We understand what we are talking about. That force is any kind of, I've applied force on this ball. But what about momentum? When we talk about momentum, we're not sure we're not 100% sure like we are with force, right? So it's very important to discuss the physical significance of momentum, all right? So in order to understand momentum, just consider it to be ability to create impact, or in simple words, impact. How much impact does this body can create? Now let me tell you, suppose you have a small, let me just tell you, a small animal, a very small animal, like a very small cow, okay, a very small cow, a calf of a cow, and he's running with a very slow speed, and suppose what he's trying to do, he's trying to push me, and he's trying to displace me, okay, so I'm standing in my position very intact, and suppose a very small animal, he comes very slowly and starts pushing me. So what we are seeing, the animal is small, so its mass is less, and the velocity is less. He's coming very slowly towards me and trying to push me. Is it possible for me to move? No. That means the impact is less. Impact is very less. All right. Second case. Suppose an elephant comes, okay, and which is what do you call, trumpet or something, right? His nose or whatever. He's trying to slightly push me. Will I move? Obviously no. All right. So even if the mass is very high and velocity is low, still the work is not fulfilled. Now imagine a very small animal running at a very high speed, like a mediocre speed. A small animal running at a mediocre speed and hitting me. Will it affect me? No, because it's very small and just hitting me. So obviously no effect. I can again say, if mass is less and velocity high, again no impact. But imagine if both mass and velocity are high. Imagine the case of an elephant running towards me. What will happen to me? He will just blow me away. In simple terms, the amount of impact a body possesses. Now, obviously, the amount of impact the body possesses depends on what? Its mass. That's pretty obvious. Heavier the mass, more impact can it produce, and the velocity. Okay. So momentum is also called the product of mass and velocity. Is in short the ability to create an impact. Though this definition is not written anywhere, it's a definition kind of just I thought about momentum and this thing came into my mind and it fits the explanation, so I use it. Okay. Hence, but if you have to write it anywhere, just write this part. Okay. Quantity of motion in a body. That's a bookish definition. Though I generally don't consult bookish definition. Your concept should be your top priority. All right. So let's get started with second law. What the second law says? Second law is the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to force applied. Now I'll give you an example. That's a very basic example, and everyone is pretty much aware of it. Okay. Suppose I'm trying to catch something. I'll just use this. Suppose I have this. Suppose I'm trying to catch this thing. Imagine this to be a ball. Suppose my hand is like this here, and I'm trying to catch it. Before hitting my hand, suppose the mass of the ball is 1 kg and velocity is 10 meter per second. I'm just asking you to assume it. Its mass is 1 kg and velocity is 10 meter per second. Just before hitting my hand. So the initial momentum is how much? 1 into 10, that is 10 kg meter per second. Let's ignore the unit for the time being. What will be the final momentum? Just after hitting my hand, it comes to rest. That means final momentum is zero. Now, one very important aspect is, suppose I'm trying to catch it. Obviously, I am feeling a force in my hand. Now, imagine if this ball were to be heavier. That means its mass were to be like 10 kg. Would I experience same force or higher force? Let's try it out. I will obviously experience higher force. I imagine it to be a heavier mass, so I am experiencing higher force. That's pretty obvious, pretty logical. Similarly, if it comes with a higher velocity, suppose someone throws it towards me, then I'll experience more higher force. In simple words, higher the change in momentum, higher is the force. Now it's important to understand that we are talking about change in momentum. Change in momentum, delta means change. Sorry, force is proportional to change in momentum. Now why we are talking about change in momentum? See, initial momentum was 10, final momentum is 0. What my hand is doing, initial momentum is 10, final momentum is 0. So my hand is trying to reduce the momentum from 10 to 0. So the more moment, the bigger change I bring in momentum, the bigger force I am applying, in simple words. Alright? So force is proportional to change in momentum. Alright? Next thing is, now how do cricketers catch the ball? They catch the ball like this. They don't catch it like this. They catch the ball like this. They take the hand and take it along with the motion. So what they are doing, see, the final goal while taking a catch is to reduce the momentum to 0, because we are trying to catch it, and finally the ball has to come at rest. So finally the momentum has to be 0. But you can do one thing, rather than instantaneously making the momentum 0, you can take a large amount of time and slowly make it 0. So if you take large amount of time, you will experience less amount of force. Therefore force is inversely proportional to change in time, or we can say force is proportional to delta P by delta T. If discussed in terms of calculus method, it will be dP by dt, which is the definition of second law, and I'm pretty sure that you people are aware of it. Alright, so force is directly proportional to change in momentum. Alright, so proportionality constant is 1. F is equal to d by dt of mv. Alright. Velocity is vector quantity, force is also vector, momentum is also vector. Now I'm not sure whether you know this law or not, but differentiation, this is in your mathematics, d by dx, or let's just write t here, d by dt of u into v. These are two functions. It will be written as u into dv by dt plus v into du by dt. Alright, so this is differentiation, a part of your mathematical journey. You'll get it, but just for timing, just you take it in this way. So it will be m into dv by dt plus v into dm by dt. Now one important aspect here is, if mass is constant, generally what happens, the mass of body remains constant. If mass is constant, dm by dt becomes what? It becomes 0. That's a very important thing. dm by dt becomes 0 because mass is constant, and we know differentiation of constant quantity is what? 0. So if mass is constant, this stuff becomes 0. So the final expression of force becomes m into dv by dt. We know dv by dt is acceleration. So force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now this is a conditional definition. This is not the 100% true definition. This definition is only applicable if you look back in the previous step. That is, if mass is constant, then only it is applicable. If mass is variable, this law is not applicable. If mass is variable, we have to use this one. So whenever someone asks you what is the actual definition of force, what will be your answer? Mass into acceleration or rate of change of momentum with respect to time? Your answer should be rate of change of momentum with respect to time. This is the actual definition. Alright, I hope until this part it is clear. Kindly note this down. We have a question here. A ball of mass 1 kg. I hope you can read the question. I'm not reading it out for you. So what is actually happening? You can pause the video and read it. A ball of mass 1 kg is striking a wall with velocity 10 meters per second. So, and it is bouncing back. So it takes around 0.1 second to bounce back. Now what does it mean by 0.1 second to bounce back? I'll explain it to you. Suppose this is a ball, not a perfect sphere obviously, and this is a ball. So the ball comes, starts compressing, tries to regain its shape. Why it is regaining its shape? Elastic body. Remember, a ball is elastic body, and then again goes back. So the timer has started, timer stopped. So basically, the time duration until which the ball was in contact with the wall is 0.1 second. Obviously, I hope it's clear now. So we have to calculate the force. So ball will strike here and come back in this direction only. but just for the sake of explanation, I'm drawing it here. Now kindly don't say that ball was striking here. How can it come from here? I'm just drawing it. Obviously, the ball will retrace its path from here. So what is the first of all, let's just consider this direction to be positive and this direction to be negative. Okay, you can consider even this direction to be positive and that direction to be negative. It's totally up to you, your choice. What is the initial momentum? Initial momentum is mass into velocity. All right. So what is the mass of the body? 1, velocity 10. So initial momentum is 10 kg meter per second. Now initial momentum is in this direction. That means positive. What is the final value? Final momentum, mass into velocity. What is the mass? 1 kg, but velocity is how much? Velocity is in this direction. That is minus 10. So answer is coming out to be minus 10 kg meter per second. So what is the change in momentum? Change in momentum is given by delta P. That is P final minus P initial. What is the final momentum? Minus 10. What is the initial momentum? Minus 10. So the answer comes out to be minus 20 kg meter per second. That is delta P. What is the time taken? Time taken is 0.1 second. So force is equal to dP by dt. We all know it from second law, isn't it? So it will be how much? Minus 20 by 0.1 Newton. Obviously the unit of force is Newton. I hope you know this. It's coming out to be 200 Newton, alright? But it's coming out to be minus 200 Newton. Now take a while and try to guess why the force is coming out to be negative. What is the meaning of this negative force? Now the meaning of this negative force is pretty clear. See, force is coming out to be negative. What does negative indicate? Negative simply indicates direction, right? So the force is being applied in negative direction. That means we have calculated the force applied by ball on ball. Now imagine you to be ball. Suppose I am ball, and suppose this ball is coming at me. This ball is coming at me. In which direction should I apply the force on the ball so that ball goes back in that direction? Obviously, in that direction I need to apply force. See, if the ball comes and I apply force in that direction, it will go in that direction. That means I am applying force in that direction, and that direction is negative, and the force is coming out to be negative. Now imagine to be cricket match. The bowler balls the ball, the batsman strikes it in that direction, and ball is going in this direction. I hope the concept is pretty clear. All right. So I'll give you one more question. Kindly first of all note it down. I hope you have written it down. I'll give you one more question. Now what you need to do is, Arindam sir will be taking vectors. So once he teaches you vectors, you will be able to solve the sum which I am giving you now. Until then, kindly do not try. If you have some idea of vector, you can try. All right. So what if the ball is striking the wall at some angle? Suppose at 45-degree angle. Okay. Same mass, same velocity is striking at this angle. Now you need to calculate the force and apply stuff. Okay. Time taken for impact is also 0.1 second. So everything is same. Just the angle of impact has changed. Now you need to solve the question. All right.